Hello again. I'm Grace from Be Whole, Be Happy, Life, Relationship, and Intimacy. Today we'll head into Mindful Intimacy, Part 2. So the first part we talked about the practice of noticing and sharing what you're noticing. Allow each other to be in the space that you're in, and this helps builds more self-awareness and empathy for your partner. The next quick practice today is a practice of empathetic communication. So when you're in the midst of communicating anything, whether it's yelling something up the stairs or having a real heart-to-heart where you're connecting with one another, or a text message, or a phone call, we often hear things that are not what the other person said. So maybe my partner says to me, "I'm feeling really tired, but I was really looking forward to making love tonight, and I'm feeling rejected." And so what I actually hear is, "I'm not interested in you." So you can see how one thing was said, but another thing was heard. So in this practice, we're going to mirror what the other person says to us. We're also going to do our best to actually listen to the words, but then notice what we're hearing besides those words. So as I mentioned, this is a practice of mirroring. And you're simply going to reflect the words that you heard another person say. I noticed that my partner said something and I started to feel triggered. In that moment, I can take a breath, notice what I'm feeling, maybe share that I'm noticing. I noticed that my heart just started beating a little bit faster. I noticed that I just got short of breath. I noticed that I just started feeling rejected. And that's also a way to own your own emotions and to not put them on the other person. No one can make us feel any way. We are all free to feel whatever we feel. And when we start to put the ownership of our emotions onto our partner, it gets really messy. And not messy in that good kind of way where we're experimenting and figure things out. But we really lose our empowerment. So when you hear yourself say things like, "You made me feel this way," that's very different than saying, "This happened and I felt this way." If you're interested in this communication strategy, it's called nonviolent communication or compassionate communication. And it is a very specific practice of how we speak in I statements, checking into our own feelings, needs, assumptions, and making requests. But back to today's practice. So the practice is what I heard was. What I heard was. My partner says something, I notice I'm starting to feel a thing, and then I can repeat back. What I heard was, or what I heard you say was, that you are feeling tired. And the second part is I'm going to own what that sounded like to me. What I heard you say was you're feeling tired. But what I took that to mean was that you are not interested in making love to me. So what I heard you say was, and try to get as close to those words as you can. But what I took that to mean, or what I really heard was that you're just not turned on by me anymore. Now the other person gets a chance to respond. So notice if what comes up from this is a feeling of defensiveness or a trigger. "Well, that's not what I said." You can actually be in gratitude here. "Wow, thank you for sharing with me what you heard. What I actually said was that I'm tired. And what I meant was that I'm tired. And I really want you to hear that I had a long, stressful day today and that has nothing to do with you. Maybe I'm also hearing that you have a desire to make love tonight. So how can we make this work for both of us? How can we decide to wake up early tomorrow morning or set aside some time on the weekend?" So you can go back and forth in this as well. What I heard you say was, what I took that to mean was, and then you can go back to the other person. All right, what I just heard you say was, and what I took that to mean was. And then the period of clarification as well. What I really meant was. So this whole thing will look like a breath, a practice of noticing. What I heard you say was, what I took that to mean was. And then the other person would say, thank you. First of all, thank you for acknowledging that this is happening for you. What I said was, and what I meant was. What I heard you say was, and so here's what we can do about it, or what should we do about that. So this is really a practice of hearing each other. This isn't necessarily about solutions or outcomes or fixing. You may get to a point of negotiating things so you can have both of your needs met, but that's not always possible. And often the trigger, the escalation, the anxiety gets way stripped back when we just feel heard. We just can pause and say, I hear you, or I heard you, or I see you. That is your mindful intimacy practice today, and happy practicing.